You're editing a wildlife photo and spend too long on one image and still hate the result. You don't know where to start or when you're done. You keep buying software thinking that will fix your image. You have thousands of photos you can't find. I know because I struggled with the exact same things. I'm Chiara and I teach bird photography to photographers who want impactful photos, not just snapshots. And I've helped hundreds of wildlife photographers to overcome these exact editing frustrations. So today I'm sharing 5 things that I wish I knew about editing when I started. These completely changed my approach and brought me from this to this. So we'll talk about the one habit drowning you in photos before you even start, the software trap wasting your time and energy, and the 1-minute step that makes editing 10 times faster. Now, if your editing feels scattered and you're not loving your results, this is for you. Let's start with lesson 1. In wildlife photography, we can take hundreds or thousands of photos in a single session, and you need to learn to let them go. But I know many photographers struggle with these and keep many photos just in case. Just in case you get better at editing, just in case there's a new tool that can save that image. And these 3 words, just in case, are exactly the core of the issue. Yes, you will definitely get better at editing, and yes, there will for sure be new tools out there. But what people means is that you'll also become a better photographer. So the chances you'll go back to those photos from years ago are extremely low because you'll have much better photos to begin with. So you need to become ruthless with culling, which is the process of selecting your best images. What I suggest is a 2-stage culling process. The first pass is when you want to reject the unusable photos, the blurry photos, photos with obstructed views, photos where the under or overexposure can't be recovered. So these are the photos where you instantly know they are bad. The second pass is to cut the duplicates, and this is where most photographers fall short because this is the hard one. In wildlife photography, it's extremely common to come back from a session with tens or even hundreds of photos that are extremely similar. Action sequences or also portraits with the bird just slightly changes the pose or there's a minimal change in light. And here's really where you have to be ruthless. You only have to keep the strongest version of similar shots. You should focus on technical quality, so which one is the sharpest, which has the better focus on the eye, which has the best pose, which shows the most engaging behavior, which has the cleanest composition. Here you really need to force yourself to keep only 1 or 2 or 3 from each sequence, depending on the total length, of course. I know this is hard, but if you start culling ruthlessly, your future self will thank you, because you will be able to find any photo quickly. Editing sessions will become more focused and you will not be overwhelmed before you even start. So that's lesson 1, but now before starting editing those photos, you need the right tool. I see this mindset all the time in the wildlife photographers community. They think if I use multiple specialized softwares, my photos will look better. So they have Lightroom and Photoshop, then they jump to a specialized software for noise reduction, the one for sharpening. And personally, I've tested many of these softwares and some of them are really good. But here's the question nobody asks. What's the weight of the improvement that these softwares have on the overall result? So are you really improving the photo significantly by using these multiple softwares? Is that something that people will actually notice? Because in reality, using many softwares comes with some costs, and I'm not just talking about the money. You're wasting time switching between programs, your workflow becomes scattered, and you're spending time learning tools instead of focusing on creating better images. And really often, at the end, you never fully master any tool. Now here, to be brutally honest, I've seen hundreds of images edited with 2 or 3 different softwares that could have become much better if only one was used at the maximum of its capabilities. So now I want you just to ask yourself what it is that you really need and what do you really want, because if you're a wildlife photographer and your priority is to take wildlife photos and be outdoors, do you really need multiple softwares? And especially, have you really mastered your main editing tool? Now that's lesson 2. So your photos are culled, you have your main editing tool, but before you touch any slider, there's one critical step. Analyze before you edit. Now for years, I would open a raw file and then started editing randomly. Tweak exposure, maybe contrast, oh wait, now the colors look weird, better to go back to those. And then thinking about sharpness, is it sharp, is it not sharp enough? And at the end, I was still not really sure about my result. And I see this constantly in my students. They tell me, I don't know where to start and I never know when my photo is finished. Now, these aren't separate problems. They're all symptoms of the same root issue. You don't know where you're going. Think about it like this. If you got in your car without knowing where you're going, you'd never know when you arrived. And it's the same with editing. So here's what I do now. Before I touch a single slider, I spend 1 minute analyzing my photo across 5 specific areas. The first one, technical quality. Is it sharp? Is exposure okay? Are there fixes needed? The second area is composition and story. So what type of photo is this? What's the main story here? Then I evaluate light and colors. So what's the lighting scenario? What are the colors present and what are my color goals for this image? Then I move to analyze the strengths and weaknesses. So what's working that I want to enhance, and on the other side, what needs fixing that I might want to remove. And finally, I establish a general editing goal. So in one sentence, what am I trying to achieve? And after these, I know exactly where to start, what needs to be done, and when I'm finished. At first, this analysis might take you a few minutes per photo, but then it becomes automatic and you'll do it in under 60 seconds. And here's the magic, because after this, your editing becomes not only much faster, but you'll also become much more confident in the process itself. And now, if you want help actually doing these analyses, I've created a free checklist that walks you through exactly what to look for in every photo. It's the same 5-point analysis I just showed you, but in a simple downloadable format you can reference while you edit. I'll put the link in the description below. It's completely free. And that's lesson 3. Remember, don't skip this step. Local edits change everything. I think this is the biggest area of improvement I see with photographers, not using local adjustments. Now, for years, I only edited globally, so I'd adjust the exposure, the contrast, maybe the temperature, but I applied them to the entire image, and my photos ended up feeling flat, incomplete, like something was missing. And this is why I really wish someone really emphasized the role of local adjustments. So when it comes to editing, there are 2 types of adjustments. So the global edits are the ones that affect your entire image, like the exposure, the white balance, or the contrast. Local edits affect only specific parts. That can be your subject, the background, or a corner. And the truth is that global edits can definitely make your photo technically correct and good, but local edits, those are really the ones that can transform an image from good to great. We do this practically via a tool that's called masking. So Lightroom Classic, as well as many other editing softwares, give you the possibility to create masks that select specific parts of your image, and then you apply edits only on that selected area. And nowadays, things are even easier thanks to AI-powered automatic masks. For example, you can select your subject with 1 click, you can select the background with 1 click, and it's really incredible. And this really made our workflow as well as photographers much faster. So here's how a photo transforms with just a few masks. Now, even after global adjustments, this photo has significantly improved and it's technically correct. However, after applying a few masks on the subject, on the background, and acting locally in some areas of the image, now you can see that the subject definitely pops more. Same photo, just a few masks applied in a few minutes that create a completely different impact. And in your wildlife photo, you might want to have a subject mask and a background mask, because in most cases we want to edit the background the opposite way we edit the subject. For example, if I brighten my subject, I often darken my background just to improve the separation between the two. If I boost the colors of my bird, I might actually desaturate the background slightly, and these contrasts will make our subject pop even more. Another mask that I find extremely useful and flexible in wildlife photography is gradients, specifically radial gradients. And radial gradient is a manual mask because we draw a circle or oval around the areas that we want to mask, and then we want to target either inside the circle or outside. Radial gradients are really useful to create vignetting effect, to darken the edges, and really this naturally directs the viewer's eye towards the subject. Radial gradients are also brilliant for enhancing light direction. So if light is coming from one side, you can use a radial gradient to emphasize that, brightening the lit side and darkening the shadow side. So if your photos feel flat, my major tip would be start using masks because they really can change a photo. Lesson 5, consistent workflow. What I've been doing for years is that every time I sat down to edit, I just found myself editing randomly. I was asking myself, should I crop first? Maybe adjust the exposure, maybe the white balance, let me sharpen, let me create a mask, then let's go back to the general exposure. And every single time, I was literally reinventing the wheel. And what I didn't understand is that when you do things differently every time, your brain just can't form habits and you waste mental energy just deciding what to do next. On the other side, if you follow the same sequence every time, this sequence with repetition becomes automatic. So at first, you have to think about each step, but with repetition, you stop deciding, you just do it. And so this means that having a consistent workflow means faster editing. So let's recap what I wish I knew about editing when I first started wildlife photography. Number 1, cull ruthlessly. Number 2, master one editing software at its full potential before exploring other softwares. Number 3, analyze before you edit. Number 4, master local edits because they really change everything. And number 5, find your consistent workflow. And if you want to see my exact editing workflow step by step, how I analyze, what order editing, and all the details, I made a complete tutorial. I link that in the end screen and in the description below. Now, I want to know from you which of these lessons hit hardest. Drop a comment because I read every single one. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you can, and I'll see you for the next video.